FishMoreGooder. Hey y'all, it's Dave with FishMoreGooder. Sitting here with Tim, who's feeding a baby right now. Screen looks a little frozen, but we're gonna manage through that one. And we got Tres and we got Holden with us.
Say hi, you wave.
Wave, say hey. All right, little dude. And if you can see the hats right there, we got Lightning Strike Lures, and they're gonna go through an awesome father-son, father-child project.
Yeah.
When it's nasty and ugly outside, you don't have to cast to enjoy fishing.
And like, it's crazy because even in our first conversation, that's foreign to me. Like, even down here we're at in Texas, we're in Waco, Texas. I mean, It's cold, but like, there's no ice. You can go get out. And as long as you're willing to kind of wear a jacket and a couple layers, you can get out there. But you're right. For all of the people up north, for my Midwest guys, this is a really fun project. I'm Trace again. This is my son, Holden. I wanted to have him with me so we take you through this so you really believe what we're saying. I know that Dave has kind of already got ahead of the curve and tried it with his kid. And so, like, man, it really is a thing that you can do with your kids. And the product is not a kid product, though. The product is like a serious thing that actually is one of, like, I think, kind of the sleeper lures across the country right now. So real quick, like I said, we're Lightning Strike Lures. We do custom painted baits. We got right now is starting to get rattle trap season. So we got our big swim baits that we got going right now. Shameless plugs, by the way, here. All your crankbaits and things like that.
We love. Hold that one back up. Hold that one back up, because that is my jam right there. The crawfish, the red. Oh,
yeah. So this is a Japanese. Yes. So this is a mega bass blank. That's a flat side crankbait, and this is a rattle trap. You know what I mean? So it's it's a lipless crankbait. But yeah, man. I mean, we got jerk baits. We got the whole thing. So again, man, we'll plug all that stuff at later points, man. That's not what tonight's about. But just know, if you're new to us, you're new to Fish More Gooder. Our collaboration and our goal in mind is to help you figure out crafty ways to either make new lures completely or alter lures so that you catch more fish. And the word I'm going to drop on us all tonight that I haven't explained to anybody yet is, like, to be present. And so that's one of the reasons why my little guy is right here right now. I think one of the gifts that you'll get out of this process, and that what we're all kind of going for in the heartbeat of this deal, is that, like, this is a lure that you have to be present if you're going to actually be successful with. Just like a weightless Cinco, or like a weightless, soft plastic bait of your choosing. It's not a fast bait. It's a slow bait. It's a finesse presentation, but it drives fish crazy, and it's worked for years, and it will work years in the future because it looks natural. But if you're fishing too fast, if your mind's somewhere else, if your hands are going too quick, you miss bites, you don't catch fish, and it doesn't work. So because I own a kind of a little tackle business, I'm a tackle nerd through and through. And my first venture into crankbaits was balsa crankbaits, hand making, hand shaping, the whole 9 yards. And the Japanese have this, like, cornered. Like, any Japanese craftsman is like the highest end that you can be in their field. So I followed a lot of these guys on Instagram, and I found this guy who was fishing the weirdest looking lure that I've ever seen. And in Japan, it's made by OSP, which is a Japanese lure company. Go Google those guys and go down that rabbit hole, and good luck. But it's called the Hairy Dice. So that's what we're going to do tonight. We're going to dive into that. Holden, are you going to help us? Yeah. What do we call them? We don't call them hairy dice. We call them what? Say it loud. We call them fuzzy dice. All right. So we're cornering that in the market. Dave went with the multi-sided dice. We're going to go today. So I'll kind of bring this camera down so we can see. We'll jump right into this.
Yep, absolutely. So, let's do it.
And again, forgive the mess, but we got here the workstation here. I'll kind of go over the ingredients, so to speak. So number one, a disclaimer, right? You need a Pyrex that's actually microwave safe, okay? Because this stuff gets molten hot. You need some kind of an oven mitt, and I mean this so kindly. You can do it with your kids, but it is so hot. So you really have to be careful. Put oven mitts on them and make sure they're safe.
Hey, Trace. Yeah. You're good. Holden it looked like he had a treble hook on his sleeve.
Oh, yeah.
As he was reaching across. I was going to give you the dad-to-dad heads up there.
No, that was big time. I appreciate that.
Hey, heck yeah.
So next big material, and Tim just pulled out his 20-pound bag and flexed on all of us.
Yeah, I know.
Right? Yep. So you're going to need some clay. You can get it at like a Hobby Lobby, a Michael's, a Walmart, like just any kind of polymer clay is fine. You're not going to fire it. You're not going to put it in the oven. You're not going to have to bake it.
Hmm.
Really all you have to do is just kind of let it dry, and it'll harden up and it'll make our mold. You can use
Sweet.
actual dye, right? Like from a board game, and that's totally fine. I am using whiskey stones. So I just got this like as a random like dad Christmas present one year. I got
Heck
whiskey
yeah.
stone tic tac toe, right? Who needs that? But I take the stones and they're the perfect size, right? So so basically, what you do is you take your clay and you're going to put it out. And actually, let's do this. We'll kind of go in like movie cooking, cooking show form. I'm going to get Holden in here. Holden, why don't you come in here, Bubs, and start cutting up these? So these are our discarded worms. We've all got them, right? They could be anything. Creature baits like Cinco's. I'll just kind of give you a quick venture into here. Anytime something falls out of my boat, I just put it in there. And the color we're going to make tonight with you guys is kind of a Texas special, right? It's a mixture of like a black and blue, right here, like a Cinco black and blue, then like a blue fleck, which is a little bit more prominent blue. And then we're going to mix in some green pumpkins. This one even has like a little bit of the purple kind of party green. But it's just going to make a super natural color that's going to work in dirty water. We have a lot of dirty water here in Texas, and so that's going to be good for us. So, but ideally, we want, little bitty, almost like pellet size cut up. This will help things melt faster. So I'm going to have Holden work on these. So Holden, you can start cutting these up. You got the scissors right here. Oh, did you put them in your pocket? Little movie magic, find where they are. Here we go, right here, buddy. And again, this is like where, like, my little guy can help me out, right? So I just have him be super careful, keep from cutting his fingers off, obviously judged by the age of your kids. But again, like whenever they would help me do these, and when we made our first round, I tried to slow down and let them help me with this stuff. It's super hard because I'm like a hands-on guy and I want to be doing stuff. But again, this is kind of the presence conversation. Like I'm here. It doesn't have to be perfect. I don't have to measure what size they are. He can just cut them up and we can go, right? So to help him out, I'm going to kind of rip some of these as we're going. And again, there's no right or wrong here. You can make whatever colors you want. I would say just be careful your first time that black goes a long way. It's just kind of like when you paint. If you put black or blue into there, it's going to make things darken up pretty quick. So if you're looking for a lighter color, I know you guys in the Midwest, like with smallmouth and stuff like that, if you need more true natural colors, just be slow with the black and the blue. You get it down? Okay, thanks, bud.
Right. Good
All right, so what
advice.
we'll
Good
do,
advice.
yeah, and I do know that, like, I mean, I know that smallmouth and spotted bass, they do like black and blue and darker colors, but in Texas we get a lot of rain, and like our runoff really muddies the waters, and so so all right, so movie magic. I'm gonna throw this in. It's gonna be going in the background. Hopefully, it's not too loud. This is kind of where the science turns to art. So 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 3.5 minutes. You just want to do it long enough so that it melts fully through. All right. Okay, guys. So we got this stuff heated up in the microwave. I tried to time it right there. I did an initial 3 minute hit, and then I did 30 seconds. A little interval here and there. And basically, you just want it to be at stirrable. If it's stirrable, it's good to go. It'll kind of congeal on your knife a little bit. Here's our mold. And so literally, I'm just going to go in really simple. I'm going to pour in here to the top, and I want to keep the top as flat as I can. I tried my best to make these molds like perfectly square, but they're not going to be perfect, and it doesn't matter. This is one of those deals, man, where like this is a dad moment. Like this thing is super hot, and this stuff is super dangerous when it's as hot. So just be careful with it. Now, this is a fair warning to your wife. It does not smell awesome. Doesn't smell terrible, but it doesn't smell awesome. And I'm not completely sure. I'm not a doctor. I'm a pool man, but I'm not sure that the fumes are completely safe. So just keep in mind, if you wanted to be uber safe here, you could use a little, kind of like a COVID mask, and obviously use your oven mitts and all that kind of stuff. But so we'll do this, man. We'll kind of accelerate time here, and by movie magic, my Holden guy, he's got some of these that are a little bit further along the process. So we'll pull those out, kind of show you what we're going for here. So while these cool, and they won't take long at all, I mean, boom, we got fuzzy dice. So what we're going to do next, and I'll show you our next little step here because I have one that's already kind of cool. So the idea here behind these guys is your shape comes out, it makes a cube like that whiskey stone or like your dice. In Dave's case, he made one with multi-sided dice, which could even be better. And then all we're going to do, y'all, so these strings here, these are just the little fibers, the little filaments off of a jig. The first one I made, I pirated an old jig that was just beat up, and honestly, it was kind of too old. So now, again, very low cost of entry here. You could just take an old jig that you have and you could use that, or you could go to like Cabela's or Walmart, whatever sporting goods store is near you, and you could buy some skirt material. And again, very cheap, very expensive. And like, we're going to use these one at a time. So a lot goes along, a little bit goes a long way. So we'll grab one of these. It's already cooled. And again, as these cool, I'll get them out. Here's what they look like when they come out of the mold. So you can tell this one, I'll see if I can show it to the camera close. This guy right here, not completely square. So that was either one that didn't have enough in it or I didn't get it all the way. This one is a little bit more perfectly square. So we'll start with that one. But really, guys, it doesn't matter. The secret sauce, I think, of this lure to begin with is that when it falls in the water column, it kind of, rolls around, and that's where you get your bites. So the next kind of thing that you might not have lying around, probably, your wife or your mom or somebody has a needle, but really what you want here is you want a needle that has a really big eyelet. And so that's going to make your life a lot easier. And again, if your kids are helping, your kids can use it a little easier. So let's use, I'm going to use a chartreuse strand to start out with here, just so we can kind of hopefully show it up a little bit better. So I'm going to take our big needle. I'm going to take the chartreuse. I'm going to go through the eye of the needle, and I'm going to leave probably about like an inch like that. And again, that doesn't matter. Again, you don't have to like measure that. It's just, kind of go with it. So I want you to think about the fuzzy dice like a dice. And so really the pattern I try to make is like a 5, right? So you've got the holes on the corner where the black part would be on a white die, and then the one in the middle. So I'm going to start out in the middle. I'm going to go right through it. And then I'm just going to let them, again, be careful, especially if you have your kids. I mean, obviously that pokes out. Don't let them poke themselves. And here's where you just got to be real gentle, just smooth. You're going to pull it out. So hopefully we can see a close-up of this. Pull it out, and you'll see that tag end is starting to come out the other side. And then what will happen is when it pops out, I mean, that one's close. You almost have a 50-50. So if you can, as you're going, if you can get to where you can measure it, you don't have to change it. But I'll kind of go back in here and just edit that a little bit so that you have basically, as best you can, a 50-50. So if you're looking and thinking like a dice, we just went through, that's like a snake eyes, right? We went through the middle of the dice. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back with another chartreuse. I'll let Holden hold on to that one for me. We'll come back with another. And again, I'm just using the brightest color right now, so it's easier for us to see. And so now what I'm doing, there's 2 ways you can do this, and I've done it both ways. You can either change the axis. What I mean by the axis is now you can go to a different side that's empty, and you can go through the middle, or you could continue and you could make your 5 or 4 or 3, whatever pattern you want. I suggest at least 3 strands aside, and I've done as many as 6 strands aside. But let's do this. We'll pick a different face here. So this is now a blank face, just a random side, and I'm going to go through the middle again, right there. Make sure my tag in is enough in to where it'll pull through, and I'm just really gently going to pull it through. See that tag in. Holden was a little thirsty here, getting a little recharge. Love it. There you go. So
That's
so
awesome.
now,
Yeah.
So now, even with just 2 strands, y'all, I mean, we're already getting somewhere, and again, I've been bass fishing my whole life, and until I saw this Japanese lure, the hairy dice, I'd never seen anything like this. And so anyway, so the idea is that you continue making that pattern happen, and you use the sides of the dice, makes 3s or 4s or 6s, whatever you want to do, and you get to this fuzzy dice. So this one is this is a green pumpkin base with like green pumpkin and chartreuse. This is more of a black and blue, and I went with black and blue, silicone with a chartreuse pop. And again, just trying to give one strand and be a little different. And then this one is almost a completely black, black and blue base, and then a black there. So let's come back to this guy now because it's cool. So I just, to the touch, you can just kind of touch it. And I think it's cool enough now, and we'll see that you just kind of pull it out with your finger here. And again, the clay just gives it away. There we have it.
You didn't need to spray.
That's
no
awesome.
spray, no nothing. Now, I'm sure you can. And again, it doesn't stick. And again, part of the reason it doesn't stick, I think, is because, and you'll find this, I should have said this earlier, So like if you were just to dig your hand in my like bag of discarded, boat, what do they call them, like down soldiers, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Hmm.
all of these lure companies put different oils and things, whether it be scents or whether it be there's salt content that's going to
Yeah.
be different in each
Yep.
of them. And so and I hate to say it because I don't want this to sound bad or keep somebody from doing it. It does kind of have a film on it. Um,
Yeah.
so now I'm gonna skip forward just a little bit here and show you all this trick as well. So let's say you did this. You poured 5 or 6 of them. Maybe in your mold you have 5 or 6. In my mold, just because the first time I did it, I didn't know any better. I only did 4. And looking back, I would make a bigger mold so that I could pour 10 at a time or 12 at a time.
Hmm.
You're just going to get more, more bang for your buck, so to speak. And then again,
Yeah.
with the attention span of your little one, like, you can make them all in one shot, and that way you don't have to keep remelting. Word to the wise with your remelts. Okay. So you can go back to the microwave once, maybe twice. But again, it'd be more ideal if you had more mold cavities made and just hit them all at once. Because
Hmm.
after the second or third remelt, it starts to get weird. Um, get like this
Oh.
thing, get like the saggy cup, like the yeah. So
Oh.
that's like the bottom. Now, so when your wife is like, I can't believe you're using my Pyrex, like, what do you do? It all just comes out of the Pyrex, even the film on
Hmm.
the side. So the cleanup is zero. Like, now you need to wash it out so she doesn't like smell it. But like, I promise you're not going to get in trouble for that. You might get in trouble for something
Hmm.
else, but you're not going to get in trouble for that. So I can't guarantee
That
everything
was
now.
good. Yeah.
I don't need another something
Yeah,
I get in
Oh,
trouble
yeah.
for on
make
my
sure
list.
you mowed the lawn that Saturday so she's not mad to begin with.
Oh, yeah.
So this is another hack that I want to give you. Okay, so as you start doing this and trying this, you're going to find out that not all soft plastics are the same. Not all
Hmm.
soft plastics are the same material. They're not the same, density. There's different salt content, and that's where it really gets fun because you start again. It's more present. So you start to be aware of it. Now, the fun part about making your own lures or modifying your own lures, when you go fish that lure at the lake or the pond or wherever you're at, I mean, I hate to be like this, but you really want it to work. Like, there's no other way to say that. Like,
Hmm.
right?
Oh,
You're going to give your
absolutely.
lure like another 20 casts.
Yeah.
Like, a little more, let's cast one more time. Maybe that stump over there's got one.
Right.
And I believe, and again, I'm not going to get woo woo on us here, but like, I believe that's part of this game, that one that we're after just in making our time on the water more fun and enjoyable. But
Hmm.
I think that presence that comes with being more attuned because you're trying to make this thing that you brought into the world happen, right? So
Yeah.
what I noticed is like a power bait or like all of Z-Man's plastic, right, is a lot more buoyant and it's a little different material. Now, if you go with like a Zoom plastic or like Berkeley stuff like that, it's a harder,
Hmm.
more durable plastic. So play with that when you're making these, mix them up, or maybe try all the same and see which ones you like.
Hmm.
Um, and then the last kind of really like big time hack. So don't ever throw your power bait stuff away. Obviously, the max scent that they use in there. When I first got these, I was like, where do I put them? And so I didn't think about it at the time. I just had one of these laying around, so I put it in this Ziploc bag. Well, when I went to the lake the first time and used them, first of all, I caught 10 fish. I was like, what? I was like, I'm
Yeah.
retiring and making
Blown
fuzzy
away.
dice.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the cool thing is that as I was getting them out and handling them, like I was like, man, it hit me. I'm like, oh shoot, there's still like residue and scent, and there were a couple there were a couple
Oh.
in the pack, right? And
Hmm.
so again, now we have a lure that they haven't seen, a presentation they haven't seen, and then you put like a scent with that, and like I mean, now you're like really upping
Hmm.
your chances of impressing your kid or your wife
Oh,
being like,
yeah.
oh, that was worth your time. So take that a step further. I don't know if y'all are onto this yet, but like a bunch of the pros are on bait fuel right now. It's scentless and it
Hmm.
doesn't like get on your clothes. Like you can get on your hands and your kids won't, think it's bad. So same thing. I'll take, a dozen of these and put them in a bag, and I'll just put some of this on them and like put them in a Ziploc bag and then like take them from there. And again, now you have this super new product that you've created that can work and that the bass are going to love. And you got some scent, man. So again, I know that was kind of a lot to shape around that idea, but let's talk really quick about like how to actually rig it up, and then we can
Yes,
kind of get into if you guys have
absolutely.
any questions. Yeah, can
Yeah.
can can we pause for a
Absolutely.
second and I go grab a hook?
Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
So definitely want to talk about hooks and like rigging it up. I'll be
Mm-hmm.
honest, I had to watch several videos that were in Japanese to figure out like what they were actually doing with this before I realized what was up. And that's when I knew I had a problem. Like, you know what I mean? It's like
Yeah.
that AA
Right.
meeting where you're like, yeah, I got a problem. I'm watching
Yeah.
Japanese videos at
Oh.
like 12:30 p.m. This is not good. So I want to walk you through kind of my logic here first, and then I'm going to tell you
Mm-hmm.
that just like all things fishing, there is no wrong answer. So let me start there, okay? Um,
Mm-hmm.
my first wacky, and again, I think all wacky hooks are going to work great on that. For people that don't know, a wacky rig Cinco bait, right, is just all it is a stick bait. Let's see if I got one here. Little bag of extras. Yeah. So basically, this is a Sixth Sense divine worm. But basically, a wacky rig is just, I said that like I was from Chicago, a wacky rig.
Hey, I
Um,
loved it.
and so hopefully, y'all are getting enough y'all on here to know that I'm not from Chicago. So a wacky rig hook is just, normally it's like a size one, size two. It's a small hook. Really, I use this VMC weedless Nico hook, and it's actually a little bigger for but we have bigger bass in Texas, and so and basically if you're going to wacky rig
Mm-hmm.
a worm, like the most simple way is just to hook the worm right through the middle. I mean, nothing special. And the whole action of the bait is as this descends in the water column, the water pressure like makes this worm kind of waggle, and again it looks like a wounded bait fish. And the
Mm-hmm.
bass, and as I've learned more about this and seen them in pools and seen them in tanks to see what's actually going on, the bass think that it's a bait fish that's been hit by another predator, and it's like basically like kind of on the death fall. And so it's
Mm-hmm.
almost like a scavenger. It's like a vulture. Like they see it like an easy meal. I can go pick this off and not really
Right.
care. And so that's why two things are great about wacky rigging. Number one, your hookup percentage is normally really high because the fish hits it and it immediately runs. Sometimes,
Mm-hmm.
like when you're fishing a crankbait or something like that, they'll be pursuing the bait. Like if you're fishing a crankbait, the fish is pursuing the crankbait, and when it catches up to it, it actually pushes through the bait. So if you're with me, your line's over here, and as you're pulling that
Mm-hmm.
crankbait and the fish hits it, your line goes mushy for a second. It goes dead. And if you're not an experienced fisherman and know how to catch up or set the hook or know what that is, that fish might be able to spit it out and go away, and now nothing happened to you, right? Well, the cool thing about a wacky rig is when they experience this thing like kind of being dead or wounded in the water as it slowly sinks, they don't care. They hit that thing and they typically run the other way. And so a lot of times on a wacky rig bite, that's why people use braid connected to a leader, right? Braid is like a
Mm-hmm.
thinner line connected to a clear monofilament or a clear fluorocarbon, typically leader. That brightly colored braid will start moving away. People will be like, my line is swimming or my line is moving. And
Mm-hmm.
that's how you know that bass took your wacky rig. But because that wacky rig is pretty light, there's no weight on it, right? It's typically a light bite. Now, the other
Mm-hmm.
great thing about wacky rig hooks, it tends to hook the fish in the top of the mouth. A lot of times we'll get them right in the corner of the mouth, so it's the perfect place to just pop the hook out. So if you're fishing with a kid, you can let the kid do it so they can get confident in handling a fish properly. Or it sticks them in the roof of the mouth. And I don't know what bass really feel. I hope they don't feel a lot. I want to believe that we're being kind to them. I
Mm-hmm.
am an animal lover at heart, and that's kind of weird that I like fish so much. But when they do get hit and stung in the top of their mouth, the fight is normally a lot easier. They normally don't jump as much. They normally give up quicker, and you can get that fish to shore or to the
Mm-hmm.
boat or whatever and land them better. So we take the same concept, right? We pop the wacky rig hook out, and you take a fuzzy dice. And really, again, this is where the science stops being science and starts becoming art, and you have to experiment and have fun and make it your own. My typical way is I'll kind of turn it at an angle. So, like, I'm actually not on a flat side, I'm at an angled side. And
Okay.
I'll come through here with the wacky rig hook. And again, just as simple as it was, and I'll kind of hook it to where it kind of is on, again, like an axis, like a diamond now, right? So
Oh.
that hook is, I'll kind of put my hand behind it so you can see it. That hook is going
Mm-hmm.
behind it. And again, rather than being on a flat surface, it's like on more of a, and again, I mean, y'all, I promise I'm not like 13 cups of coffee. That's just my hand. That's how much those
Yeah.
things are moving, even with like a little bit of a shake. And
Oh
so you can
yeah.
imagine as it descends in the water column, those little appendages are just going to kind of be going crazy. And again, I really don't. I was talking to Dave and Tim when I kind of showed them this idea. I don't know what they think it is. Like I really, with the wacky rig worm, you can clearly see how they would think it would be a
Right.
bait fish. With this, I don't know. And the only thing that I can, besides the novelty of it, that it's just a new lure. The other thing that I can think, was it rally cap? We rally cap? Okay, I thought we were rally capping for a second. I was like, man, we're getting to the end of the
We'll do it
episode.
too. Yeah. Hey.
So the only thing that I can think is that maybe the wider profile, kind of like when a skirt on a jig billows out, that they think it looks like a brim or a perch or a bluegill. Those bait fish that have more of kind of like a longer diamond, perspective,
Yeah.
as opposed to like more the minnow style bait that's more of like, skinny cylindrical, and again, I don't know about y'all, but here in Texas, like when the bluegill get up on beds and they spawn, honestly, like that's our trophy bass season, because the bass are spawning. The bluegill come in to eat the baby bass and the bass fry and the bass eggs, and so you can catch a 8-pound mama bass off of a bed with a wacky rig because they think it's a bluegill coming to try to get their eggs. So like,
yeah.
And again, now that I say that out loud, that is a little like we don't love animals and we probably shouldn't be doing that. But
But we release them right away so they go back and protect their young
kiss them
every single
back,
time.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
Yeah. So, but yeah, so that's your basic. Now I'm going to say this. So that's kind of my way. There's zero wrong with hooking through the entire thing, right, and coming out the top. And so what I'll tell you, when you do that, you can see that hook point just barely makes it out. And so that's the thing that I would just advise you to use. Your hook might be different than mine. It might be slightly bigger with a wider gap, so it can easier to do that. I just think that you have to still be aware. You want to hook enough plastic to where it's not going to rip off, but you want to have enough of that hook point exposed to where when you do get a bite that you're going to be able to set the hook. Now, this is where in like fishing, YouTube videos, which I watch all the time, the guy's like, well, let me walk through my setup that I use. He's like, I use a $600 Shimano, Bentley reel, and my rod was made by lightning itself. And you're like, what? Like, it makes a what?
Thor's hammer.
Exactly. What's
going on?
Normal. Yeah, they're like, yeah. They're like, the owner of the rod company built this with his own hands for me. And you're like, oh, okay, well, I can do that too.
Yeah, I can afford that.
Yeah, right? So here's what I would say when it comes to setting this up. There is no wrong way. Really what you need to predicate this fishing style on is where you're fishing and how you're fishing it. You're in a lake or a pond, it's basically just an open water situation with not a ton of like brush or abrasive stuff in it. Man, you could use 6-pound test, 8-pound test. I mean, you could use really light line. This hook is a really sharp needle point, small hook. And like I said, you don't even really have to set the hook. And that's really the main thing I wanted to talk about. When you get this bite, you just kind of want to have, and I typically use this on a spinning reel. You can throw them on bait casters. I'm going to go to Sam Rayburn this weekend for a tournament, and I'm going to be fishing 20-pound fluoro because you can catch a 13-pound bass out of that lake like on the regular. And so I'm going to be trying to fish this on heavier gear, right? The harder part is that the heavier line is, the harder it is to get this thing to sink naturally, And so that's why that light line and that thin line is a great finesse tactic. But normally when I do set the hook on my spinning reel, and my spinning reel is $100 combo from Academy, right? And it works just fine. You just want to lift your rod handle about to your chin. You don't want to kind of pop them. You just want to lift your rod handle, and then you want to catch up to the fish with your reel. And what will happen is the initial lift will give you like some kind of a penetration, either the lip or the top of the mouth. And then when you catch up to them on the reel, as they're swimming away from them, you'll turn the fish back towards you or towards the boat or towards the shore. And that's when that hook will find its way out another place. The corner of the fish's mouth is one of the best places to hook them because it's a solid, very almost like cartilage, like shark cartilage around the mouth. But then there's a real soft little canal behind the corner of the mouth. And I mean, I'm telling you, it's probably 50-50 of right out of the corner of the mouth on this rig or in the top of the upper lip. And so super high hookup ratios makes it fun for your kids. You're not like looking at your 10-year-old daughter and being like, okay, so when the spinner bait hits the wood, it's going to deflect. And then you're going to like, no. Like, sister, when your rod tip does this, pull it to your chest and and so like all of a sudden
Right.
your kids are like
You're
hooking
trying
up
to
with fish.
work with a kid, teach them what's the difference between pulling your lure through
Yes,
brush
and a bite.
or weeds, and what's
Yeah,
the difference
straight
between
up.
a hit.
One thing too, I always remember my dad doing was I don't remember. He told us he did this was
Yeah.
you could hook that, you could set or get that hook set locked in
Yep.
without the little guy or little girl knowing. You could reel it and then go, "Hey, want to hold this rod for me?" And they go, "I caught a fish. I caught."
Yeah.
And
Bro,
you can, and that's like
that's called deep love.
makes someone's life just makes them adore fishing. Look at me,
100%.
hey.
And again, back to like it's beautiful, and this was not rehearsed. Like this is not like Good Morning America. Like bro, like that's the secret sauce. That memory, that presence, that willingness to like, I get it. I'm gonna have an opportunity to do this again, but I want him or her to feel this is so true. This summer, I had kind of a cool moment. Here, come back up here, boat, so I can tell the story. You're the theater here. So we've had that moment where Dad found it, and Dad got it going, and he's a great reeler inner. But this summer, several times, caught his own fish by himself, hook, set, cast, take the fish off, put the fish off, maybe kiss the fish a little bit. We try not to be too weird with that, but we got some pictures.
Yep.
And so again, like I think what's fun about that is it takes some of those dad hook sets and some of those dad moments before they're even aware of what's going on. And then it kind of, and again, just like that word I go back to, like it makes them more present with you, with fishing, with the moment. Now it's not boring. It's actually like infinitely interesting that like there's a fish in there and it could bite this lure. You know what I mean? And so, and so I think that I think our heartbeat just as dads is to do both. Very honestly, we want to fish more, like end of sentence. Like, I wish I didn't have to work as much and I could fish more.
Yep.
Right? That, all fairness. But if we can include these little ones and kind of get them into the game and let them understand the joke and the kind of, I hate to use the word, but like the addiction of it, you know what I mean? Like I think that it's going to be more successful. And my company, like that I have, if you can call it a company, my little side project, my side hustle, we make crankbaits. We make fast moving, reel to reel, bump them into stuff and reaction fish. And the first lure that we're deciding to show the world on the FishMoreGooder, nation is the slowest moving bait possible, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
hey.
Right? I mean, but the cool thing is like, I'm telling you, like your money back guaranteed. Like if you make some of these and you take them out and you try them first or with your kids, you're going to catch something on them. I mean, you can make them smaller and perch will just destroy them. You know what I mean?
So thank you.
Yeah.
I was watching you make it and all I could think was Chicagoland, north part of the United States of America. You can make that thing small. You can cut those down. Ooh. That is perfect for slow ice fishing. Just bopping up and 100%. Down, flaking, flow. I was thinking about it as you're making. I was like, this is. You could do so many things with this thing,
bro. You're going to be the Arctic exploring wing of the lightning strike lures, man. You know,
right? Oh yeah. Hey,
you're like the GI Joe in all white, bro. It's like there's a snow guy. You know,
forever clean shaven.
So the cool thing is, and again, even in our short amount of time knowing each other and kind of collaborating on this stuff, that to me, like what you just had, that discovery moment, I bought 10 pounds of clay and your wife's like, what are you buying clay for? And you're like, babe, don't worry about it. Like I got a plan for all this. Like,
she grabbed the Amazon box when it got here and picked it up and she's like, what is in here? It's so heavy.
Like, it's not meth. It's all
we're good.
You know we're good. But the fun thing that I'm finding in this little bitty world, this little side shoot niche world, is that there are guys, especially with kids and old dudes, and they have all gone down, like they've all been here. And I think it's this longing to like work with your hands. We do so much that's virtual and in the, like on a Zoom call and like on your phone and on an email. Like it's so nice to get back to something tangible. You know what I mean? Right. And bro, I'll tell you, the first like 3 or 4 you make, you'll be like, okay, yeah, all right, whatever. And then like every now and again, I'll look at one of the crankbaits I paint and I'll take it into my wife and be like, I made fire. You know what I mean? Like in it, because it's like, you know what I mean? Like it's crazy. Yeah. Like, one of the guys from the tackle shop that I sell some of my baits in today, he texted me today and he's like, hey man, he's like, I just want to tell you, he's like, we sold 2 of your lures today. And like, first I was like, okay, awesome. He's already paid me for them. So like, I wanted to be like, no, you sold the lure today,
Mm-hmm.
But and thanks to him, shout out to him for hooking me up and putting me in his shop. But then it dawned on me, I visualized his shop, and my lures are in between Strike King's lures and Six Sense fishing lures, which Six Sense is a big Texas brand that we really love. I don't know if y'all have it up north. They're kind of like I wouldn't call them like a mom and pop anymore because they're like, but like Lake Fork, Rayburn, Toledo Bend, like the big bass lakes, like they're known for this Six Sense brand. And so it kind of struck me that like there was a dude that was like, nah, I'm not going to get that one. I'm not going to get that one. I'm going to give this one a try. And again, I'm not saying anything about the quality of my stuff. I think it's just the quality of like our brain wants us to like be creative and like maybe that one will work and maybe that'll happen, And so, but yeah, guys, I mean, again, not to to go too far here, but I think it's a great test of presence. I mean, he did it with me the whole time. Again, he didn't lose a finger. We didn't burn his face off. Like, and again, when your little one runs in with one of these to your wife, she's not going to get it. She's not going to be like, you're a great father. That's not going to happen. But you spent time with them. You were present with them.
Yeah.
When you use it and it works, and now the bait that they work and they made caught I don't even know what that's going to unlock in a little kid's brain.
I love it.
But I think it's worth pursuing.
Yep. I need my daughter to get older so she can cast. That's what I'm thinking now.
Our next big adventure right now, we have him casting on like a spin cast. Think of like the Zebco 303, the thumb guy, right? The next adventure this summer, we really want to work on. We're going to start with a spinning rod, just because I think that's a lot less backlashes and line management problems, and then we're going to try to work to a bait caster. And so, I think that if you can learn it this young, then by the time obviously our kids are our age, like you're still going to have backlashes and things like that, but like it'll just be second nature to them. So I'm excited to kind of try that with them, And so
that's awesome.
I want to like compliment you guys. Our first call that we had, you talked about like kind of your goal for this and what you thought it would, become. And obviously we're super humble and thankful to be on here with you and to be asked to do this. But I do think that, even like with your name and like your heartbeat behind what you're doing, I think you're going to reach people that you don't even realize, and even this week in explaining, like people like, wait, you're going to do a video about making what, like I had to, and then the second or third person I told were like, okay, yeah, like what's their name? Like we'll find, and I'm like, oh wait, like, yeah, like you can find them, like, so I'm super hyped for what you're producing and what you're going to do. And I think it's going to be really cool.
And we are,
that means a lot. Like
go for it, Tim. Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes you have to interrupt Dave, so I can get a word in every now and again. No, that truly does mean a lot, because everything you said, what we're doing here, it's what it's all about. Like you said, I mean, and we love the part, talking about being present. I mean, sorry, I was a little quiet in the beginning. I obviously
you were present with the baby.
2-month-old.
You were doing your deal, bro.
Get to bed.
Right? Yeah. You never stop being a dad. But Holden, what'd you think? Did you have a good time making lures with Dad?
Thumbs up.
Yeah, all right.
We're way past our bedtime here in Texas right now, so this is like super cool.
So I know what we're gonna do. We're gonna make some, me and Tim, and then we're gonna do some fishing once it gets a little warmer out, and we are absolutely gonna get back with you, let you know how it goes. But in the meantime, I was talking with Tim. Okay. We got this kind of little goofy idea. We want to see if you'd like to be a part of it.
All right, let's go.
Because we've already bought clay. We've bought way too much clay, and we need to do something. We need to do something with it. Yep. And I personally, I'm inspired right now, and I think me and Tim were talking. We'd like to make a soft plastic lure. Could be a worm. It could be a lizard. It could be something weird that's like a Picasso painting.
Yes, dude.
And and we'd like for you to judge which one you would use. You can only pick one, maybe, and that's what you got to use. I think I could catch a fish with that. There's going to be a winner and a loser, of course.
Okay.
So the loser is going to buy the 3 lures from your shop that the winner wants.
Okay, let's go. I like it. Yeah.
And so, and I think everybody wins.
Yeah.
because
Totally.
because the loser is at least gonna be I need to do this better next time because I can't lose again. The winner gets some awesome lightning strike lures.
Appreciate that, man.
And then we can keep engaged and keep this thing rocking because I absolutely love this little
man.
hairy dice.
Dice? Hairy dice in Japan, we call them fuzzy dice. Yeah.
Fuzzy dice. Okay.
Fuzzy dice.
Yeah, that thing is sweet. I can't wait to make some with
And like Dave said, like as far as being inspired, there's the little guy. But as far as I'm literally looking around just everywhere, I'm like, what can I push into clay to make an awesome shape to make a lure out of?
Tim, what is that? Tell that rule because I didn't say that.
Oh yeah, so the rule is like everything we use to make the impression for the soft plastic has to be from your house. It has to be just things just around you. You can't go buy something and push it in, specifically.
And again, like
it has
the whole
to be
concept, and again, today, or like us, it was fuzzy dice, and I got inspired by a Japanese lure that actually kind of looks like this. You can go find them; they're like $30 a pack after you import them from Japan. But like, you're right. Like the whole concept is you got some clay, low cost of entry. Like you're saying, you got stuff you can push in, you can hand whatever you want to do. And the whole concept is that you can do this by yourself with your kids as a little project, as fun. And then again, you just got to be super careful, with your stuff so you don't burn yourself or burn your kids. But like, man, it can be whatever. And I follow a ton, and I've told you guys, I've admitted this. I follow probably more YouTube fishing people than like anyone in the country. Like I don't even watch like TV anymore. Basically, I just watch YouTube. But so many of these like lure manufacturers, like I want to go to ICAST, which is this like gear show in Florida every year where they release the new lures, right? And man, every interview at ICAST is like, hey, we're going to give them something new this year they haven't seen. And I'm like, that's all it is? Just something they haven't seen? Like that doesn't seem like hard to do, right? So, but then you start making stuff and you're like, that's not going to work. You know what I mean? So, but yes, I definitely think it'll be interesting. I'm all good to be judged. It'll be hard for me to pick sides on that early in the game, but we'll do it. We'll break some hearts. We'll figure it out.
You can't hurt feelings. And if we gotta true it up, we'll have another. We'll find another good competition.
Oh no, I love it. Yeah. And I think so. I think cool. It's cool to follow along with that too. I think it's a great idea, but no, guys, you know me, I'm all in. I'm easy. When it comes to stuff like this, man, I think it's great. I think it's worth your time. And here's the crazy thing. When we first did this, the very first night we ever did it, it was so novel to them. And of course, I didn't even know what I was doing the first time. Like, whatever. But like, the kids were problem solving with me. We couldn't find any dice. I was so mad. I was like, where are your board games? Like, I was like, I couldn't think of the names. It was like the games that don't have dice. I was like, where's Uno? And everyone's looking at me like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
Uno. Like, crap, And so, and y'all, one of my daughters, I enjoy whiskey. Like, there's a great distillery here in Waco that we had, Balcones is here in town. And like, again, somebody got me whiskey stones. I drink my whiskey neat. I don't drink it on ice. I don't drink it on stuff. I just drink it. So like, I just put them in a cabinet and didn't think about it again. And my daughter's like, the whiskey stones. And I'm like, oh man, like my daughter probably shouldn't know what that is. She's like 8, but I'm like, yes, bring the whiskey stones. That's what we need. And so it's so crazy how that like stuff like that is organic and it'll happen. And then it's a funny story that you tell later and it's a part of your deal, man? So, I mean, if that's not Fish More Gooder, I don't know what is, man, Oh yeah.
That's to a T. That's what we want it to be.
Yeah. Totally.
Fun family.
Man.
It goes work, fishing, family.
Yep, 100%.
But sometimes work has to trump fishing, but nothing ever trumps family.
100%, man. No, I'm with it. I'm with it for sure, man. So, well, y'all let me know, man. Submit these things and I'll get them going. We'll get them judged. We'll have Holden. He might even weigh in a little bit and see what he thinks.
Oh,
hey, don't
absolutely.
forget the name. The name is important. I mean, we need to have good names.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
The situation.
Oh, I didn't even think about that.
Oh, yeah, bro. Yeah, the jackhammer, the situation. These lures are incredible. You know what I mean? The hybrid hunter. Yeah. Like, come on, man. That's awesome.
If it doesn't have a good name, it's not going to
exactly. Yeah, it's got to have some like confidence when it goes in the
right.
No,
I didn't think about the name.
Yep,
that's
brilliant. We have one of our buddies here in Texas. Last name is Donner, and the color that I created from him is called the Donner Dingler. And I'm telling you right now,
yes,
they love that color. Let me tell you. So.
Yes. All right. Hey, before we get kicked off here, people want to check out lures. How do they get a hold of you? Where do they find you?
Thank you, man. It's so crazy. I've heard that statement so many times. It's kind of surreal to be like saying it from my point of view. So it's kind of cool.
Yes.
So again, we're Lightning Strike Lures. That might show up backwards on the screen. I don't know. You can find us on Instagram. It's Lightning Strike Lures on Instagram, and then it's just lightningstrikelures.com. Luckily, both those names are available, so I kept it simple. I've got a few more hats left. I think I sold my last navy one, but I got a few of the silver hats that Holden's wearing. These are our swim baits. They're really super high quality. And man, our whole thing is that when I got into it, like, yes, I mean, this is my version of like a sexy shad, right? We call it the light and the bolt shad, right? You can see the chartreuse in there. But like, my goal was to not just do what everyone else is doing, like to put spins on the different colors and different things so that like it's a little bit different. And man, we would just love to have you come check us out. The other thing that like not enough people take me up on is I will make a custom order for you. Like I've had fishing pros here, locally in Texas, a couple MLF guys that were like, hey man, this is the color I want. And he's like, I can't find it. And so, okay, great. I'll do my absolute best. And if it takes me 10 blanks to get that lure right, you don't pay for those. I'll get it right. And then when I think it's right, I'll get them to you and, I'll charge you a fee for it. But, it won't be too much more than you'd pay for a lure at your local sporting goods store. And so, and rather than that, you're supporting me and us and this little adventure. And obviously you're hopefully getting something that you couldn't get elsewhere. And so,
right.
So even if it's just for the novelty sake of it, like we talk about, then maybe the color is a little bit different than your fish have seen. It's not the same bait that everybody from Dick's Sporting Goods is throwing, or Academy or Cabela's, whatever your, Bass Pro.
Like you said, that's your
lure,
lure,
yeah.
and you're the one who throws it. So when you start, go ahead, Dave.
Tim. It is so important when you're on your boat with your friends or your family or your father-in-law or your dad to be able to pull out that secret weapon that no one's seen, or because they'll look at it and be like, "Where'd you get that?" And be like, "Not Bass Pro."
Yeah, straight up. Yeah, you can't get it. Yeah, 100%. Yeah. And just let me know when your father-in-law calls, and I'll be like, "We got no custom product. We do no custom product here." Just let me know.
No soup for you. Yeah.
No soup for you. No, 100%. Yeah. So that's easy, man.
Right.
You got one covered. So, but dude, thank you guys. I appreciate y'all, man. I'm excited to see y'all.
Yeah, thank you.
Yep, absolutely.
No problem, man. Y'all have a good night. Okay.
All right. Thanks. You too. Hey, y'all. Thanks for watching. You can find more content like this at FishMoreGooder.com.
Don't forget, subscribe at YouTube, and follow us on Instagram, and submit that best catch to fmgbestcatch@gmail.com for a chance to win some cool prizes.
Beautiful. We'll catch you on the next one.